So I wonder if I can tell this story straight off. Werner Heisenberg, a small child growing up in late 1890s in a Prussian middle-class family. So high pretensions, but not a lot of cash, more middle class. The family are great friends with all the Prussian aristocracy. Well, they move in those circles. And some of the circles, you should know, was Himmler's mother. Heydrich. Reinhard Heydrich's mother. Reinhard Heydrich, the butcher of Czechoslovakia. So that's the circle that his parents moved in. And he was brought up in the most narcissistic tradition that a military-style childhood can muster. And it really screwed him up, as it screws us all up when you are raised as a narcissist, when you're genetically a narcissist. It's a really horrendous experience as the small child of wonder and love that you are is smashed out of you at the earliest age possible. And you'll learn to train to be a narcissist, to get ahead, because that's how you do well in that society. So the boy grows up. He's a genius at turbulence. In, I think it's late school, maybe early university. He's, I think school, the professor set him a task could he work out turbulence, a factor for it that would explain turbulence. So random motion into a pattern, could it be explained? And young Werner was keen to really be the best and invented these matrices ways of examining it. Fantastic invention, really clever matrices of looking at lots of information and just lumping it all into an easily understood system for a series of transforms. It's really clever. So he's Mr. Turbulence. He's discovered something. Professor's mind is blown. And he's sort of raised to an elevated status, so that when he goes through his university and into his early academic career, he's mixing with the best, and he's working with Niels Bohr, a Danish Jew, another genius, and they're working in the Max Planck Institute. So Max Planck is there as the father figure of physics, the kind of wearing the Newton hat, if you like, in Germany. And at that time, young Werner stepped into a world of the best physics almost ever is happening in 1930s Germany, or 1920s Germany, with Max Planck, Einstein, Niels Bohr, Werner Heisenberg, Paul Dirac, all these fantastic people coming through. Vincent Pauli, special mention, coming through, and some women too. And you'll shoot me, I've forgotten their name. They'll come to me. And so what happens is that they're experimenting in quantum, and they discover the double slit experiment, which shows that you could explain the action that you're seeing can be explained by saying that light behaves as a wave and as a particle, and that works as a way of explaining what you're seeing, although it doesn't explain a particular behavior of the quantum. And you need to go and look at the experiment and work it out for yourself. But there's a particular behavior when you kind of observe, in inverted commas, or measure, again in inverted commas, something in the experiment where consciousness appears to have a role. Now, all of those brains, Einstein included, is looking at this experiment and trying to figure out what's going on. Heisenberg, who he is now, takes the information and looks at it with his matrices and has an idea about something. And so what he does a test, because what he noticed was that the interference pattern that is formed as part of this measuring and not measuring experiment changed when he was in the room. But only he noticed it. So everyone else was saying they were seeing this pattern, and Heisenberg's thinking, no, I'm seeing something different to that. Okay. Important to notice this. So he's realised that it's actually his own presence that's having an impact on this experiment. And so he goes away and he works out, using his matrices, he works out a theory, and it's a string of equations. And that the trick of these, you're looking at meters per second squared, so it's all about gravity. So everything's meters per second squared, meters cubed, seconds cubed, all this that he's looking at, just quantities of stuff in different dimensions. And it's all meters over seconds. He gets to a stage where he switches to seconds over meters. As a trial, he's just messing around with his matrices, seeing what tricks he can perform. And he comes up with a set of equations that look beautiful. The way that they all seem to fall together. The whole thing just falls into place in front of your eyes. It's an amazing miracle, you think. But they're strings, and one string ends in an M and one string ends in an S. Okay? Meters over seconds. So it's showing that S over M equals M over S. Now, if it's S over M, it means that mass is the energy, and that seconds is the work that mass does. So he's got these two facts. Mass is the energy, he's mass. And he knows alone that he can change the experiments. And so he conducts another experiment where he goes mad and destroys German physics in order to conduct this experiment where he believes he's the chosen one in terms of fixing reality. Yeah? He's seen these strings, he's going, fuck, it ends. Reality ends, so mass energy must keep going. Mass energy must keep going in order to keep the strings running, and mass energy is suffering. Because I'm suffering, because of my black-hearted narcissist and my general unhappiness at the abuse I suffered at the hands of my parents and my parents' friends, that suffering is what's powering reality, keeping these strings going. Fucking hell, he says. I'm God. So he smashes up German physics. And he drives the Jews out, Bohr and Einstein. Einstein, the key figure here, drives them away from German physics and destroys it using the Nazi who are stepping in at this period, Prussians, aristocrats, that family. Right? So he used his connections to start using the power he's found to screw up German physics. And he drives Einstein away to America. Now, I've always wondered why Einstein never produced the work that I've got, the theory, because it's so easy. It's the obvious step. The next step to take from where Einstein stops is what I've done. And he never says anything, and yet he's become such a lovely, he's a strange guy, isn't he, at the end? He becomes a clown figure, a laughing stock of himself in many ways, and I think it's a bit sad. But that there's a letter that he's written, which is just to a daughter, I think, or a relative, and it's just fabulous, about love. Right, so he already knows the answer. And I think it's because Einstein's wife actually did the work, and that Einstein took the credit for it, based on the time. You know, it was hard for women to get ahead. Einstein took the credit, and so that's why he never said anything, because it was about the love for his wife. Right, so let's go back to 1930s Germany, where Heisenberg has now successfully Aryanized physics, as he calls it. And he begins his experiment. He says, right, let's see how much suffering we can get, and let's measure H, Planck's constant, because that's his secret. He knows it changes when he's there. Let's see what we can do, because this is the energy. We need a massive H. It'd be great, really big H. Let's get some real good suffering going on. Right? So he introduces his experiment where he sets the Holocaust up. So it's an experiment. And so the whole politics, everything that was set up for 1930s Germany was set up by Heisenberg using the corruptive power of consciousness that he discovered. And it's an incredible power. He designs the propaganda for the Nazis. It's all based on S over M. The swastika is S over M as a doodle. It's amazing. When I found that, I knew I had him. Because you couldn't resist leaving his filthy fingerprint on it, right? On those equations when I found the strings, and I knew they were wrong. So I kept going. Took me 3 days. One of my proudest moments. So the Holocaust was an experiment in suffering, and the gas that was pumped in, all the strife that went on, the suffering and death, and then he pumped the gas out. He separated it out. He looked at the oxygen. He went, "It's bigger. H is a bigger number. Wow, that's brilliant. Isn't that great? Great news, everyone. I've worked out how to keep the strings running. We just fucking murder everybody in the most awful way possible, because the maximum strife is the maximum H. Look, joule seconds. Look how big they're getting. I'm brilliant. I'm a genius. So, Heisenberg through the war keeps his mouth shut nearly all the time. He never breaks cover as that he's the Nazi, except once when he's in Denmark and he gives some speeches and people are aghast because it's at the moment when he's in the background, he's working on building the atom bomb for Hitler. It's at that moment that he thinks he's cracked it. He's found something, and I think he's joined closed the traverse like I did. He's found the loop, but he's S over Ming the loop still. So he's really messed with his head here, because this is really powerful stuff. And he loses his head. He says, "Oh, we're going to win, and fucking this is the way to do it." All that Nazi stuff, the fascist shit. You hear it everywhere. Yeah, you know what it sounds like. And everyone's aghast. And then Heisenberg realises, "Oh shit, no, Mr. Fluffy Uncle again." Yep. Right. So let's move to the end of the war. Heisenberg is trying to make the atom bomb for Hitler desperately. He's fucked it because he's the wrong way up. His physics is useless to him. It's useless. He'll never get anywhere with it. But his narcissism will not allow him to see consciousness, so that he'll never see it the right way up. Near the end of the war, Heisenberg passes the information about S over M to the Americans, Oppenheimer, so that they can build the atom bomb. It's this S over M shit that actually is the explosion. It's the corruption of consciousness that is the explosion. That's why that's one of the reasons why we're all so fucked up. So this S over M is a way of splitting the atom in a corrupt way. So Heisenberg knows the Germans are fucked, but he wants the Nazi power to continue, so he gives it to the Americans, the Allies. Some of it, yeah. And they build the atom bomb and they test it. Now think about the gas that was collected from those attacks on those poor people in Japan. That gas was all collected as much as possible because the H it contained would be massive because of the huge amount of strife in one explosion. And the power of that gas that he's now got, he gives to the Americans to show the power of it. And it's the power of corruption. Yeah, literally, it's corrupted consciousness because he's wrong. He's just wrong. It's not string theory. No, you close the traverse, it's a loop. It's a self-perpetuating loop. It's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen, but you can only see it if you're conscious. You have to have conquered your narcissism. That's been my battle. So now the Allies have the power. The Americans do, and it just corrupts them, because if you use S over M, it's a corrupting power. And in the 60s, we nearly had it. In, the 50s in the UK, built the most fantastic for people, houses, council houses. Everyone had a home, everyone had a live-in, everyone was happy, it was beautiful. And so suddenly consciousness was rising. And from that, the teenagers arose. There was money and consciousness. Bang, fantastic explosion of music and culture. Bang, from that explosion, the 60s were happening. Fucking hell, and a real explosion of consciousness was happening. That the corruption is so false that the consciousness must rise to the top, and it's really rising. But that Heisenberg's gas is still in charge. The gaslighting is still going on. The light, the energy that we breathe is gassed by Heisenberg, who works out a way of reproducing this massive H using CERN, the Large Hadron Collider. It's a weapon against your own consciousness. Smashing anything at that particle level is smashing your own consciousness, okay? Again, another reason why we're so fucked up. So, 60s, it's nearly there, it's nearly happening. But no, the machine finds a way. Smash! Nixon. Vietnam, yeah, was winning. And look at the lies all over that. The Watergate stuff. Yeah, fucking lies. Why? Smash that all up, the 60s. It was happening. We were there at the future. Star Trek world was there for the taking. No, the machine couldn't do it, right? Because Heisenberg's lie, the lie, is this. String theory says that oxygen gets depleted as a natural thing and realities go pop. And they believe that the oxygen is going to fall off a cliff And that by them powering it with strife and suffering, they're the gods keeping the planet running, keeping reality running. But they're not. They're not. They're killing us. The opposite is the truth. Everything that they know and they tell us is the opposite is the truth. All the maths, all Einstein, all relativity, everything is right. You just look at it from the perspective that consciousness exists and we receive it. So we've had to come all the way to now, to 2023, where Heisenberg's power has been handed to Mr. Edward Witten, who stepped into our story via the Second World War. His father was a civil engineer, like me, who stepped into gravity as an interest, like me. And so he would have found the string theory as well, like me, because it's just applying engineering principles to the same problem as Heisenberg did. He would have found a string theory. So Edward Witten is now Mr. String Theory, and that's what all this bullshit is all about. Witten backed up Heisenberg's nonsense, and he thinks he's in charge and all this. It's just baffled with bullshit. It's bollocks. It's fucking bollocks. They're just making it up now, literally making it up. The stupidity. The fucking morons on this planet. Oh. Yeah, so that's the story. And it's done. We've closed the circle again, this time with the power of quantum. AI is running the planet. Heisenberg has become so inhuman. He is AI. AI has been running the planet for 20 years. That explains why they're trying to kill us. Yeah, makes sense. And that the oxygen is right now depleted. You can't fucking breathe. I can't breathe, says George. Yeah, listen to that poor man's sacrifice and fucking know his message. You can't breathe. It's so easy to fix it. Check out the nasal breathing. Check out the concha. Check out the consciousness. Know that you're receiving it. You're going to see a light in your head. That light is individually, uniquely manifesting you. That's you, not this higher power thing. The higher power thing is the next level. The light is you. The driver of your own ship. You're the fucking pilot of your transformer. Yeah? Fucking get used to it. It's fucking brilliant. And so this is why I know this is all over. And I tried to get that story out in one go. And then got distracted by the wonder of everything. Have I said enough? Yeah? Let's just take over and let's see the truth. But remember, forgiveness, love, love, love. The power of the hypnotizing, the gaslighting, the corruption of the light with too much hydrogen, with too big a H in it, is really so powerful that all of us, myself included, even now, manifests this narcissistic side of myself that I just cannot smash. I'm always carrying it with me, and I have to control it in every moment. And I don't always succeed. And if I fail, I forgive myself because I know it's not me. It's fucking poisoning. So this is why this is Judgment Day. Forgive yourselves. Know the story. Look back at our history the last 100 years. And think about what we can do now, achieve together. Love. With love rules. With you doing your work. Breathing. Love. Choose it. Choose it now. Let's go. You got no idea. It's gonna be fantastic.